This is Joris Olde Rikkert, and I'm representing Treemendo tonight. I will tell you everything about reforestation in the light of the climate cleanup mission as well, and take you on a journey of how we went basically from a problem area that we all face to like the solutions. I have to hide this one here, sorry. So we see like the problems are all described in the IPCC reports for years already. And then we base the solutions partly on drawdown. That's why I guess we're all here, because we're interested in working on those solutions. So that's basically the last part. We as Treemendo are also one of the climate cleanup partners because of this, because we want to put those solutions into action. So I will take you on our mission, or on our journey to accomplish our mission. And we focus on deforestation as one of the main problems. That is because we think the climate problem is one of the most important problems, but next to this we have of course, biodiversity loss and mass extinction. And where those two come together is in forests, because both forests are a major carbon sink, and they provide habitat for a lot of species. So that's why we focused on forests. And the fact is that we're losing forests, 10 billion trees a year. And also related to this is that 20% of the land is already degraded. So these are like problematic areas, and these I think are all like, I think everyone in the room knows these facts. I think that's why we're interested in this. And recently, like I think it was 2 days ago, there was also an article on like what is happening to the reforestation. So people and projects and UN projects trying to reverse deforestation. And studies found that actually those in some cases are making it actually worse. So they're not providing new habitat for species, and they're not creating new or extra carbon sinks. And one of the most important facts from these scientific articles that they found is that a lot of those new projects are actually monocultures. So you see that happening a lot in China, but they also found some like negative effects in Chile, for instance. So for us, we're not questioning, and I think the scientific articles are also not questioning whether forests are important and an important part of the climate solution. They're actually highlighting that we need better reforestation. So and there is, for instance, one important aspect to reforestation, like monocultures versus polycultures, also regards to carbon sequestration, is that often polycultures actually sequester twice as much carbon than monocultures. So this could be an important aspect to what those scientists basically found. So that's what we are aiming at. We want to achieve better reforestation. So the past year, I started researching 1.5 years ago. I'm actually a climate scientist from my study. Like I study physics and astronomy, specialized in climate physics. So dived into the IPCC reports and was working on those models as well. And then what I said, like when you focus on the climate solutions and you take also into account the biodiversity loss, then you arrive at forests. So we started studying forests and how we can like bring about new solutions there. Because they are needed, we are losing 10 billion trees a year, while we should be gaining 33 billion trees a year. So why reforestation? There's billions of people that rely on forests. And it's actually like a economical resource as well for a lot of people. And what I said already twice, forests are super important for terrestrial biodiversity. As a whole, it's 80% of the total biodiversity on the planet. So I think also in those, I don't know whether you read those articles on BBC, but they, I think, don't question whether we need forests. I think that's clear for everyone, and we need more forests, but we need better forests. And at Treemendo, we set ourselves a goal for in 2050 to connect people to forests again. We see not only deforestation, but we also see people moving to the city, so urbanization. And we think the only way to achieve more forests is to connect more people to forests again, so that they see the value of reforestation. So our goal is to plant 100 billion trees together with basically you guys. I think you're definitely part of the early adopters of those 1 billion people that we want to reach. So yeah, our vision is to give people and organizations an experience of an increased value, that they experience increased value of reforestation and of nature, and that they increase their knowledge that they have from nature and forests specifically. So our platform is aimed at achieving this. Yeah, so again, a sad fact about how the situation is now and why we need more action in this field and why we need innovation, because basically the things we're doing now are not cutting it. So we actually saw a recent report on the state of the forest is that the carbon sink that forests represent is actually decreasing. So we're losing carbon in forests. And I think it's also, yeah, I think it's not speeding up, but it's still decreasing. So there's room for action, and we need to act now, basically. I'd say, for me, it is an interesting fact. Like once you look at like how to distribute all those, if everyone would have their own forest, how would that look like? I don't know whether you guys have a garden whether you have a garden with trees, but actually if you divide up all the forests that we have, everyone in the room and everyone everywhere else would have a half a hectare of forest for your own. So that would be amazing, I think, if you could actually experience that your own forest. So it is one of the key insights for what we're doing at Treemendo, trying to enable and empower everyone to grow their own forest. And it's not only that we look at individuals, because we also see an important role for businesses. So we always have like people in mind. So there's also people always behind businesses and companies, organizations, whatever you want to call them. So we focus on that people connection, but what comes in between is also a company interaction and connection. So we also need business forests. And like to summarize the main challenges that we found in the reforestation right now, with regards to like that we don't get the full value out of forests, and therefore not many people are interested in financially contributing to nature restoration, essentially. And we see that a lot of individuals actually demand companies to do more, but we also see that the companies that do invest or do fund or donate, or the individuals that do, that they don't experience the total value that they could experience. So for instance, one of the main sources of feedback that I got from a lot of people is that they want to support restoration projects, but once they fund tree planting, the main source of feedback could be like just an email to themselves of like, yeah, it's a confirmed purchase and basically an invoice. And that's all the feedback you get most of the times from when you donate and contribute to tree planting. While you've actually like planted a tree, or you've planted this much square meters of forest. So there's a lot of value being lost right there. And then a second thing, or a third, is that I think it's super important and amazing that a lot of forests and people already contribute to forest restoration. But because there's no way to connect with those forests that you've restored, the connection is also not sustained. And we fear that once there is no people anymore involved in sustaining those forests, basically we can't guarantee that they will exist over a longer period of time. So we think it's essential to build long-term relationships between people, companies, and forests. And yeah, the fourth aspect already mentioned, urbanization. Basically, where we need to plant those forests, yeah, we can plant forests in urban areas as well, and we need to do that definitely. But there's also large pieces of land that are not close to many people that we also need to restore. So we need new connections, basically, to forests. And I was developing this I graduated at Imperial College and the Royal College of Art, and I was there at a talk with Johnny Ive, is the former head of design of Apple, and he gave a talk about their Hook Park, Apple Park. Apologies. Apple Park is their new complex, I think opened in 2017, and they stressed that for companies, and especially and they made it in such a way that all the Apple employees could experience trees during their day, because they think it's essential for their well-being and also the success of Apple that they experience trees during the day. The thing is, though, not every company can build such a such a environment. So we need other ways that we enable companies and individuals to connect to forests. One of the maybe about this talk, afterwards, I talked to Johnny Ive and I questioned their impact on the environment. Because yeah, it's great that they offer those employees in San Francisco basically an experience with nature, but they negatively influence so many other people on the planet with their emissions and so on. So I questioned him, what do you do about this? It's great, this a green environment, but what do you actually do about this? And I've experienced this more and more with companies that actually do tree planting campaigns, and I was approached by some also already, and what they are doing is often greenwashing. I can't really name the companies that I talk to, but there are some big Dutch companies as well, and they're really proud. I think it's amazing if they plant trees, but if you're a multi-billion company, and you plant 5,000 trees or whatever, I think you can't be that proud. I think we need more action from companies and individuals. So yeah, that's what we try to avoid, greenwashing in all what we do. And then this is another example. This is Nike. They also planted trees. Once you buy a pair of trainers, you plant a tree. But the problem is, as a consumer, you get such a notification, but where is my actual tree? Can I actually see it? And is it really planted? So there's a lack of transparency right there. But again, there is no value added. There's no value given to me. And how do I know this tree still exists in 5 or 10 years? So yeah, those are all questions that come up and I think should be improved in where we're at right now with tree planting. Yeah, and at Treemendo we made all these kind of insights into a framework And important aspects is to this is like the connecting aspect, like connecting to forest, enabling people access to nature. That all our projects basically have a natural impact, a financial impact to sustain the projects, but also have a social aspect to it. So this is social, as in the role of the forest should have a social impact for the people living close by, so in a local area, but possibly also the people that are actually connected to the forest from afar. So we are monitoring basically all these, basically on these three facets. We're trying to monitor our impact and try to improve along the way. Because we're still a young company, so one of the fundamental things is for us is monitoring, learning, adapting, and improving. That's essential for us. And I don't do this alone. So I'm really glad that we're now with an amazing team already. So there's Charlotte, Sven, and Marijn. I think they're all joining tonight as well. So for the questions, you can point directly to them. All the difficult questions will go to those individuals. I know it's amazing. And yeah, we're working basically on creating benefits for people and for companies, that they can get benefits of actually contributing to tree planting on a large scale. And how we do this is we enable companies to have their own forest, but also to create direct customer value. So we saw the example of Nike. You get a pair of trainers with a tree, but where's my tree? And can I actually visit the tree? Can I see the tree? It would be amazing if it could be. So that's what we're trying to do, and to give this sense that you actually know what is happening to your tree. We need monitoring, and we need careful management of the forest. It's also what we're doing, and this all to create like a lifelong connection between you, the company, and the forest. So this is what we try to do for businesses, but then there's also an aspect that we're also talking to different public organizations, such as municipalities and provinces, because they all set like high tree planting targets. And what we've seen so far with the facts in the beginning is we're not reaching those targets at all. So we need to step up the game, and that's how we think we can contribute with monitoring, improved communication, and co-financing of the projects. So how we do it is we partner with local organizations. It's the first step, because they have the experience of planting in a certain area. And then we have monitoring. So I think there is a lot happening already on the monitoring, and especially on the carbon sequestration aspect to it, because there's a lot of organizations interested in buying voluntary carbon offsets. For us, it's more about like actually monitoring in such a way that would create such a connection, because there is a lot more value to forest than just carbon. So that's essentially what we are adding to the field. And then it's about how we translate the monitoring into that connection, is that we're specialized in. So I think Sven already mentioned we're trying to like do it in a creative way, because we want to let the data speak in an interesting way. So that's how we create, basically based on sensor input from the forest. We can create a 3D forest experience. So you can actually experience, visit, and plant trees remotely in 3D. So at home, even in lockdown. So that's quite nice. Yeah, and this is one of the first screens of the app. We're very proud of having like a first app that we can distribute, and we are already testing it with users. So if you're interested after this, please reach out to us, because we can schedule a demo, a personal demo, so that you can try it out yourself already. And yeah, what we do is we create live connections between forests and people. what I said. So you can plant, place, and grow trees remotely. And there's more features to this, so you can actually listen to your forest. I will give a short demo as well at the end of this presentation. You can see the actual data, so how much CO2 is stored, the health of your forest, and which is pretty nice, you can give trees to friends and or customers if you're a business. I will demonstrate this later. And next to the app that we've built, we have also added a web app. So for everyone, maybe it's like your potential customers you have. We've also built a web app, so everyone that hadn't installed the app yet can already plant a tree without having installed the app. So how do we get the data from the forest? It's partly with remote sensing. So you can do this with satellite imagery, partly with drones as well. And we're still developing part of this. And you can see it essentially as a year report. We foresee this also in the future, like a financial year report, maybe per quarter. We can go over the forest with a drone to actually measure the growth of the forest. So you can see one of those examples right here, where we've highlighted one of the trees that we measure. And then we can measure the height of the trees using something called photogrammetry. I don't know whether a specialist in the room, we can go in quite depth. Yeah, in addition to like this remote sensing, for instance, using the drones, we're also installing on-site monitoring devices. And one of these devices can actually broadcast the audio, so you can listen live to your forest. We're also improving on and developing something so you can actually spot animals and detect animals, so that's using machine learning. We get help from researchers and students at Imperial to develop this. So that's pretty exciting, but it's still coming. Yeah. And to show that we are not just talking about planting trees, but actually planting trees also, this is a sort of short fact sheet about our first forest that we planted in Bath. We go over 290 people to plant trees using the app. And it's an urban forest, so it's part of the World Heritage Site of Bath. It's pretty cool. So that's our first success as a company. And this is like more impact that we made in the forest. So we actually allow people to choose their own tree. So we pre-select which trees grow well. We see some kind of popular trees right here. So English oak, king of the forest, was one of the most popular trees. But yeah, we try to stimulate people to buy and fund a variety of trees. So we can basically nudge them to buy certain trees over others. And then we modeled the carbon that will be sequestered in the forest. This is also something, so this is our first model, but this model will improve over time as we measure. So we can also learn from the different forests that we plant. So this is our first forest in Bath. Then we have two other forests also planted or scheduled in Scotland and in Kenya. And in Kenya, it will be with a Dutch Kenyan partner called Africa Woodgrow. So that's also, I don't know whether you're familiar with them, but it's a really great partner. And in Scotland, it will be with a nature organization called a National Scottish Border Trust. So yeah. So this is a project in Scotland. It's part of a larger restoration project, 1,800 hectares of forest that we're starting with. So yeah, we're basically launching this project as we speak. So how does it go for a company? How can you make a business forest and share it with your customers? We start on the left side where you can give people essentially tree codes with which they can plant their own tree. We'll plant the tree for them, and then they can see how their tree grows in 3D. Or they can give trees to their friends, so you can actually expand your user base as well. Wow, I don't know whether I've like gone too fast, but I've like some time for a live demo. Let me see whether it works. Like I thought it would be interesting to do something live, not just talking. But yeah, it's always difficult. Hope it works. Bear with me. Let's launch it. Oh, oh, there we see. Interesting. This is actually one of the older versions, so this one's still. This one still works on PC. So bear with me. This is just to show something to you guys now. So this is one of the first forests that we planted. We did it with RCA. So once we've have another partner, we can add different logos and such. So I hope the connection goes well. So I can fill in my name. I hope. So I filled in my personal info. Wait, yeah, should be fine. Email doesn't matter for now. I don't know who this person will be, but register as a forester. Now we can actually start planting and choosing our tree. So I think I'll go for let's go for an elder. Then we have to insert a code. So once you've purchased a tree, or once a company is giving you a code, we can insert it. And we can actually start planting a tree. So we can navigate through the space. This is digital environment. This is already like an older version. But yeah, we can actually see how the tree, like this is a simulated growth of the tree, but how it would look like in 10 years. So this is like a MVP kind of version of what we can build. We actually see here the live weather also. So it's 27 degrees and the sky could look something like this. So it's the wind is like blowing a lot. And then something that I added just to give you a sort of hint of what we can do in the not so far future as well. So I demonstrated I showed one of those sensors with which we can actually detect animals. So we could insert different kinds of animals in there as well. So that's all kind of future stuff that we're still working on in the web app. And then I can start planting these trees as well. So this as a tree, so Sven gave me a tree in Scotland. So I can, this is in Bath actually. So he gave me a tree to be planted in Bath. So I can choose a location for this beech tree and I can confirm my location. So that's how easy it is. So it's pretty fun activity, I feel like, and then you can sign up and also download the app. I'm not gonna complete this right now, but this is just one of the things that we've just developed. So we're eager to get people to test it out, but also to start buying the trees, essentially. Then to continue with the presentation, sorry, this is a demo. I don't know how I'm doing with time. Well, it sort of all worked, so that's nice. Yeah, I think we've discussed most of what we're doing, and I hope you had like a good picture of what our approach is, where we're at now, and I think we try to give you a hint of how it could be already in the future. So essentially, what we're looking for now is more organizations that want to plant trees with us. So we need to actually start the planting as well. So we have these platforms built right now, but we're basically looking for people that want to use it. And I don't know what it says here, but we're also looking for partners that want to help us with planting trees in the Netherlands. So we're still looking for partners that want to plant trees with us. So on the one side, we have people that want, companies, individuals that want to fund the trees. And the other, we need more partners for a new project in the Netherlands. I think that's it. Yeah.